Okay nabati na. Attorney Tlina and my classmates. Today I am going to present to you RA 9275 by the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. Here may I ask what RA 9275 is all about. RA 9275, this act was signed by the former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on March 22, 2004 and took effect on May 6, 2004. This act seeks to protect water bodies in the country from contamination from the different land-based sources, and it also aims for analytical and comprehensive plan to reduce and minimize pollution through a multi-sectoral and participatory approach involving all state produced. Alam mo na eh. Ito na para. Hindi naman ginawa ng screen. May connect click. Anthony, ano pag-click niya, nakakabira ng monitor.
Pwede ni mag-press sir ato nga escape button didhan mo
Kaya naka-whole ko naka-whole monitor here.
whole monitor.
Oo.
I-click lang na ito nga escape button.
Nakakabira ng slides.
Pwede ka mo na sir magkuhan. Di na mismo ito, ano ba niya, lower left. Nagawas.
I-skip ko kung taan, kinakakabiran.
Oh, pwede.
Ito,
I-skip
next
mo lang
page.
eh, sir.
Skip lang na, no? Tayo
Pwede,
na,
i-skip mo lang eh.
malib meeting ya didi.
Ito hindi na sir, dahil ito niya na nagawas nga daha lower left.
Okay.
Dari ka nakaka-press.
Paano hiya i-reduce nun iya monitor? Kay whole view kasi nakakuha niya.
Escape lang, kuhan sir. I-press lang escape niyo button. O pwede
Ito,
ka ba
na-change
dito
naman.
dito na lang niya buttons.
Okay.
Ito nila.
Okay, sige. Okay, let's proceed. RA 9275. It is an act providing a comprehensive water quality management and for other purposes, pursue a policy of economic growth in a manner consistent with the protection, preservation, and revival of the quality of our fresh brackish and marine waters. Why is RA 9275 needed? Monitoring of the country's rivers as early as 1996 found that only 51% of the rivers identified still met their standards for their beneficial use. The remainder had already been polluted by domestic, industrial, and agricultural sources. Many reports and studies points the fact that 48% of domestic wastewater is the major source of organic pollution. The degradation of water quality from domestic waste composed of 80% BOD. Only 3% of investment in water supply and sanitation ended up going to sanitation and treatment of sewage. It is also needed the causal spread of waterborne diseases, since 31% of all diseases in the world are due to contaminated waters. And lastly, the decline in fish production, fish kills because of the increasing BOD levels, sedimentation, and set pollution. That is why It is essential for the government to have a detailed method to secure water quality in the Philippines. So given with the Republic Act, how will it manage the water quality? Water quality control can either be focused on watershed, river basin, or area of water supplies. This is in coordination with the National Water Resources Board in WRB. And lastly, the DENR shall designate water quality management as with specific hydrological, hydrogeological, meteorological, and geographical conditions that affect the reactions and diffusion of the contaminants in water bodies. How will discharge of wastewater be controlled and discouraged? All owners and managers of wastewater of discharging facilities are expected to obtain DNR or Laguna Lake Development Authority discharge permit. And existing industries without a permit are given 12 months from the effectiveness of the implementing rules and regulations or IRR. Anyone who discharges wastewater into a body of water would have to pay a fee for wastewater, and through these economic instruments, it will promote investors and cleaner production and pollution control technologies to reduce the amount of pollutants produced their nests. Those whose wastewater discharge is better than the water quality standards of the receiving body of water would also receive bonuses. Physical and non-physical incentive will also be granted to LGUs, water districts, enterprises, private organizations, and individuals developing and implementing an outstanding and innovative water quality management projects. How will domestic wastewater be addressed? LGUs shall provide the land, including road right-of-way, for the construction of sewage and septage treatment facilities, and shall collect funds for the operation and maintenance of such facilities. The Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System, MWSS, and other agencies authorized to provide water supply and sewerage services would be required to connect existing sewage lines subject to payment of sewerage service charges, fees within 5 years on the act being effective. We come now to the general provisions. Here is a declaration of principles and policies. The official name of RA 9275 is an act providing for the comprehensive water quality management and for other purposes. Shall be known as the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. The state shall pursue a policy of economic growth in manner consistent with the protection, preservation, and revival of the quality of our fresh brackish and marine waters. Shall apply to quality management in all bodies, streamline the preventions, control, and abatement of water resource pollution, promote economic instruments and control mechanisms, formulate national program of water quality management, formulate integrated water quality management framework, promote environment-friendly and energy-efficient commercial and industrial processes and products, encourage cooperation and self-regulations. The law also provides comprehensive management program of water pollution prevention and promote public information, education, and participation, formulate and enforce an accountability system, and encourage cross-sectoral environment-related activities. We come now to the water quality management system. Under the general provisions is the water quality management area, which the law designate water quality management areas which shall be governed by a board composed of multi-sectoral representatives. A governing board shall formulate strategies to coordinate policies for effective implementation and monitoring. The law create a multi-sectoral group for water quality surveillance and monitoring, which will submit recommendations and reports. Next is the management of non-attainment areas. To designate non-attainment areas which are water bodies that have natural or man-made source pollutants exceeding water quality guidelines. The law also implement programs to disallow new sources of water pollutant without discharge reduction from existing sources. Additionally, the law is for naturally occurring pollutants discharge may be allowed provided the concentration will not exceed natural levels and not impact health and ecosystem. Next is the management of non-attainment areas, the continuation of the preceding slides. Coordinate measures to upgrade the water quality in non-attainment areas to meet the standards under which it has been classified and up to its projected potential use. Next is the National Sewerage and Septage Management Program. The law prepare a national program on sewerage and septage management with priority listing based population density and growth degradation of water resources, topography, geology, bid station, and among others. National government may allot funds for the construction and rehabilitation of required facilities. Next is the domestic sewage collection, treatment, and disposal. The law provide water supply and sewerage facilities and/or concessionaires in Metro Manila and other highly urbanized cities. Formulate guidelines and standards for the collection, treatment, and disposal of sewage, including guidelines for the establishment and operation of centralized sewage treatment system. We come now to the National Water Quality Management Fund. This fund will be used to finance the following. May naka-allocate din na pundo rito upang ma-enforce ang batas na ito aside from fund for expenses allocated for information dissemination. So one is the containment and the cleanup operations, ecosystem restoration and rehabilitation, research, enforcement and monitoring activities, technical assistance, grant rewards and incentives, and lastly, information and educational campaigns. Next is the Area Water Quality Management Fund, fund for the maintenance and upkeeping of water quality management areas. Next is the water quality variance for geothermal and oil and gas exploration. Provide variance in water quality criteria and standards that encounters reinjection constraints, provided there is adequate protection of downstream water bodies. Next is the categories of industry sector. Revise and publish a list of categories of the industry sector with corresponding effluent standards for each significant wastewater parameter. Next is the water pollution permits and charges. So hindi basta-basta lang na magtatapon ng mga wastewater sa dagat o sa karagatan natin Ito'y nangangailangan din ng permiso galing sa mga government agency concerned upang maiwasan ang mga charges at penalties sa mga violators, maging agricultural man o commercial or industrial establishments. So it implement wastewater charge system in all management areas for discharging wastewater into water bodies. These are now the permits supposed to be allocated. Require permit to discharge for owners or operators of facilities that discharge regulated effluents. Allocate effluent quotas using current or projected water quality guidelines of the water bodies that the effluents are being discharged. We have also the financial liability mechanism. Financial liability for environmental rehabilitation. It requires, or the law require, Environmental Guarantee Fund, EGF, for the environmental compliance certificate process, which will finance the maintenance of ecosystem, health, and for rehabilitation in case of damage. We come now to the cleanup operations. Kailangan din natin magtulungan ang bawat isa sa atin at huwag lang natin iasa sa gobyerno natin na i-implement ang batas na ito. Any person causing pollution excess to standards shall be responsible for containment, removal, and cleanup at their own expense. We come now to the agency concerned. So who are those different government agencies who shall implement this Republic Act 9275, the Clean Water Act of 2004? There are 8 government departments who will implement this law. First is the DNR. The department is the primary agency responsible for the implementation of Clean Water Act. Next is the enforcement of water quality standards in marine waters, specifically from offshore sources, which will be handled by the Philippine Coast Guard. Next is the DPWH, or the Department of Public Works and Highways. Together with the DNR and LGUs, shall prepare a national program in sewerage and septage management. Next is the Department of Agriculture, or DA. They develop guidelines for reuse of wastewater for irrigation purposes or soil conditioner or fertilizer. Next is the DOE, or the Department of Energy. Together with the DNR, DOE shall formulate water quality criteria and standards specifically for geothermal exploration. This is related to the geothermal electricity. We all know that water has a higher intensity of electricity compared from solar source or sunlight. Next is the Department of Health, DOH. This department provides specific health criteria and data related to the promulgation, revision, and enforcement of drinking water quality standards. Next is the DOST, the Department of Science and Technology. They shall prepare a program for the evaluation, verification, development, and public dissemination of pollution prevention and cleaner production technologies. And lastly is the DepEd, CHED, and the Philippine Information Agency, or PIA, which will prepare and implement a comprehensive and continuing public education and information program. We come now to the civil liability or the penal provisions. For every special law created, there is always corresponding fines and penalties imposed to violators. So we come now to the prohibited acts. There are 7 summarized prohibited acts under this law. First is discharge or inject any water pollutant into or facilitates the normal flow of water into the body of water. Second, discharge, inject, or allow to enter the soil something that would contaminate groundwater. Third, operating discharge facilities without valid permits. Yung sa taas, yung binasa ko kanina, yung sa taas, yung discharge or inject any water pollutant into or facilitates the normal flow of water into the body of water. Ito'y karamihan na ginagawa ng mga commercial at industrial plant na gumagawa sila ng malaking tubo upang doon i-dispose ang waste papuntang dagat or sa Manila Bay. So fourth, under third prohibited acts, operating discharge facilities without valid permits. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na they are not authorized to dispose waste without a valid permit. Vessels are disposing of highly dangerous medical waste at sea. Ito naman yung nagtatapon ng mga chemical waste sa karagatan natin, especially sa teritoryo ng Pilipinas, at may kaukulang parusa din na sa batas nito. So karamihan na tumatapon dito yung mga big vessels, yung mga cruise ships, yung mga tankers, yun. They are also authorized to have their permits. Then unauthorized transport or dumping of sewage sludge or solid waste into ocean. Next is transport, dumping, or discharge of prohibited chemicals, substances, or pollutants listed under RA 6969. Non-compliance to LGU's Water Quality Framework and Management Area Action Plan. We come now to fines and penalties. Anyone who performs prohibited actions such as discharging untreated water into any water body will be fined for each day of violation. The amount of no less than 10,000 pesos but not more than 200,000 pesos. Failure or refusal to clean up resulting in serious injury or loss of life or leading to irreversible contamination of surface, soil, coastal, and marine water shall be punished with imprisonment of not less than 6 years and 1 day, and not more than 12 years, and a fine of 500,000 pesos per day for each day of contamination or omission continues. Failure to carry out willfully clean-up operations shall be punished by imprisonment of not less than 2 years and not more than 4 years. It also requires a fine of no less than 50,000 pesos and not more than 100,000 pesos per day of violation. In case of gross violation, for each day of violation, a fine of not less than 500,000 but not more than 3 million will be imposed. Even criminal charges can be filed. Not complying government officials will also be subjected to administrative sanctions. We come now to the challenges. Ito yung mga hamon upang maipatupad ang batas na ito. These are the challenges before this law will be implemented. One is inadequate logistical support to strictly enforce the Clean Water Act and related laws, financial and technical. Kakulangan sa logistic support, mga financial man o technical aspect. Inadequate capacity of the law implementers, especially at the local level. Kakulangan ng kapasidad ng mga taong nagpapatupad ng batas sa lokal na level. Low awareness of the stakeholders on the existing law, rules and regulations on wastewater management. Weak cooperation among different government agencies and local government units, hence derail law enforcement. Kakulangan din ng kooperasyon at pagtutulungan ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno maging sa local level din. Big investment on the part of industrial establishment to put up water treatment facilities. Ito yung nagiging malaking problema sa mga industrial and commercial establishment. Malaking halaga ang dapat i-allocate ng mga commercial at industrial establishment ng mga sa paggawa ng water treatment facilities. So what is the essence? What is the essence of RA 9275? So basically, the Republic Act 9275 or the Clean Act, the Clean Water Act of 2004 is a comprehensive law aimed at protecting the country's water bodies from pollution and promoting water quality management. It establishes a framework for preventing, controlling, and abating water pollution from various sources, including land-based sources like commercial, industrial, and agricultural activities. The Act also sets water quality standards, promote environmental strategies for water resource protection, and encourages public participation in water quality management. So its essence, it actually aims to protect the country's water bodies from pollution from land-based sources. The Clean Water Act, the Clean Water, protects more than water, understand, value, protect ecosystem, and more than that, our life. I have here two landmark cases I researched. This is related to violation of RA 9275, which is the Clean Water Act of 2004. The first one was a digested and the other is a summarized case to minimize time of my reporting. So here is it. This is the case of Maynilad versus DNR Secretary GR number 202897, August 6, 2019. Aspect of due process of law. Facts. On April 2, 2009, the Regional Office of the DNR Environmental Management Bureau, Region 3, EMB R3, filed a complaint before the DNR's Pollution Adjudication Board, or PUB, charging MWSS and its concessionaires, Maynilad and Manila Water, with failure to provide, install, operate, and maintain adequate wastewater treatment facilities, or WWTFs, for sewerage system, resulting in the degraded quality and beneficial use of the receiving bodies of water leading to Manila Bay. Likewise, the regional directors of the DNR, AMB-NCR, and Region 6A, or VIA, also instituted their complaints before the PUB. These similarly charged MWSS, Maynilad, and Manila Water with failure to 1. Provide, install, or maintain such facilities as compliant to the Clean Water Act. 2. Construct sewage treatment plants and sewage treatment facilities, STFs and STFs. 3. Perform its obligation under the law. According to the AMB-NCR and AMB Region 6A, the test result of water samples taken from Manila Bay showed that the quality of water near the area has worsened without improvement with all parameters. The Secretary of Environment and Natural Resources, ECNR, issued a notice of violation, violating Section 8 of the Clean Water Act. The NWSS led the defense and averred that they are compliant with the law. The Secretary of Environment and Natural Resources, CNR, found MWSS, Maynilad, and Manila Water liable for violation of the Clean Water Act and its implementing rules and regulations, IRR, imposing fines against them amounting to 29.4 million jointly and solidarily against the petitioners, and a fine of 200,000 per day shall be fined until such time that petitioners have already complied with the provisions of RA 9275. The petitioners filed a separate petition for review with the Court of Appeals, but said appeal was dismissed. Thus, they seek for review on certiorari erasing grave errors on the part of CE. Issue: whether petitioners were deprived of procedural due process when the Secretary of DNR imposed a fine on them for violation of the Clean Water Act. The ruling of the Supreme Court: petitioners' claim of denial of due process is affirmed. So meaning the decision of the Supreme Court upheld the lower court's decision finding Maynilad and the Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System, MWSS, liable for violating the Philippine Clean Water Act, RA 9275. The core issue was the failure to connect existing sewage lines to available sewerage systems as mandated by Section 8 of the Act. While the court affirmed the violation, it reduced the imposed fines due to mitigating factors and good faith efforts by the companies. Another is the summarized case related to water pollution in an open sea or in the oceans. Here is the case. This case is a violation of clean water law. Is when a Philippine cruise ship operator has been charged with a violation of said act in connection with oil spilled after deadly accident involving Tugu Group's MV St. Thomas Aquinas sank after colliding with the cargo vessel Sulpicio Express City on August 13, 2013. The MV St. Aquinas was carrying 20,000 liters of diesel, 120,000 liters of bunker oil, and 20,000 liters of lube oil when it sank. The Environment Management Bureau, EMB, filed the charges against Tugu Group Incorporated under Clean Water Act of 2004, carrying a maximum penalty of 200,000 pesos, equivalent to $4,500 per day, starting when spill was discovered. The amount or fee as a penalty could go as high as several millions until such time that the water quality as indicated in the water samples are already within government standards. The DNR has also called for both Tugu Group and Philippine Pan-Asia Carrier Corporation to conduct cleanup measures. So now, here is my question. Is an oil spill even do appellation, or the question is, an oil spill even if through appellation or accident is still a violations to RA 9275? Yes or no? Is an oil spill even through appellation or accident can be considered as a violation to RA 9275? Hello? So, So even though it was an accident, the law is still a law. An oil spill resulting from a ship collision, even if accidental, is a violation of RA 9275, the Philippine Clean Water Act. The act prohibits the discharge or deposits of any water pollutant, including oil, into any water body, while the law provides for some exceptions for safety or life or property. The burden of proof is on the party responsible for the spill to demonstrate that the discharge was unavoidable and necessary. That's the end of my report. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ogsimer, for the report together with
Thank you,
the
ma'am.
additional jurisprudence that was appreciated for. Kaya at least we could see how it was applied by the Supreme Court. So does the class have any question? If none, oh, okay. Mr. Martinez is raising his hand.
Hello po, Sir Nerio. I would like to clarify
Hello.
from the last jurisprudence that you have discussed. What are the specific exceptions na imo na mention kanina nga even though there's some excretion in the water, they will not violate the Clean Water Act. Yan lang po. Thank you.
So I mentioned earlier about the exceptions related to the second case.
Yes po. Yes po.
The exceptions to that particular violation, based on the decision by the Supreme Court, that the violation will be reduced or the imposed fines will be reduced due to mitigating factors and if there is a good faith efforts by the companies. So
Good faith. So parang more on
Mi-
negligence magiging konera.
mitigated lah yeah, mitigated.
Mitigated la. So not
Not
totally.
not totally that you are free from
Ah.
the sanctions or imposed penalties, but likewise the violations will be mitigated if you are doing it in good faith.
Okay. Okay po, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Clarification.
Thank you, GM. Anthony. Is there any questions? Kindly feel free to ask. If you have none, we will proceed to the next report.
The next reporter will be John Mark, Sir Romel, and Sir Sandos, if you're ready.
Sige po, sir. Mag-share screen po.
Sir Nerio, kindly kuan la. Okay na.
Visible na po screen.
Yes.
Sige po. Yun, good afternoon, attorney. Good afternoon, classmates. So, I, Sir Romel,